going to be fine. We'll go. All right, I'm going to let you find 265 in your hymn book. Glad you're here tonight. Did y'all get frost this morning? A heavy frost? 265 is where we're going to be. 265. As soon as you get 265, stand up. 265. Well, if you don't have it, you know the words to it anyhow. The first verse anyhow, not the rest of them, but the first verse. The first Noel. 265. The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 Lord is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east beyond them far, and to the earth it gave great light, and so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. And the last, then let us all with one accord sing praises to Heavenly Lord, that hath made heaven and earth of naught, and with his blood mankind hath bought. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. And back to 263, 263, what can I give him? 263. What can I give him? For as I am, if I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet what can I give him? Give him my heart. And that's what we want to do, right? Give him our heart. All right, before you see you, shake hands with somebody. Tell them you're glad to see them here tonight. All right, we're going to pray, and then we're going to get into our message here tonight, all right? So let's pray. Brother Brian, I'm going to ask you to stand back up and do that if you will. Proverbs 13 tonight, Proverbs 13, our last regular Wednesday night service of the year. Boy, has 2025 gone by fast? It has, it really has. But I'm glad for this season. I hope you're having a good one so far. And it's going to be good. Proverbs 13, y'all got that? Proverbs 13, give you a second to find that. Don't forget now, Sunday at 10 o'clock, we're having our Christmas fellowship, a little party if you want to call it, and we'll have some cake and milk and coffee, and we got a gift for everybody. We're not having a gift exchange, but a gift for everybody, and we'll just enjoy the fellowship. Then we're going to play Christmas Family Feud, all right? So we're going to see how that goes. I don't know if I'm going to be Richard Dawson or Steve Harvey. I don't know which one I'm going to be yet, but y'all know what Richard Dawson used to do, right? Yeah. My wife just said I'm not going to be Richard Dawson, so there you go. So David's wondering who Richard Dawson is, but anyhow. All right, here we go. Proverbs 13:17, and by the way, then 11 o'clock service, of course, for worship, and then which we'll need that after the family feud probably. But then 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon as well. And then next Wednesday night now, y'all know that we got 5:30 pizza, 6 o'clock. I'm just announcing this so everybody out there can even see it. 6 o'clock, we're going to do karaoke. And if you want to sing, the sheets are back there. You need to just figure out what you want to sing, circle it, put your name on it, turn it into me, or you can open that box and put it down in the offering box there, and that'll be good, all right? And I need that by Sunday. So we can get everything planned out. All right, Proverbs 13 and verse 17. A wicked messenger falleth into mischief, but a faithful ambassador is health. So a wicked messenger falleth into mischief, but a faithful ambassador or messenger is health. Or we could say, actually, they are a healer. They bring health. They bring healing to a situation. Now, there's a companion verse that goes along with this verse. It's over in Isaiah. You don't have to turn there, but just listen. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bring good tidings. Now, you know in Bible days, of course, how they got messages, right? Somebody had to bring it to them. They had to run it to them, in essence. And so Isaiah says, how beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace, that bringeth good tidings of good, that publisheth salvation, that saith unto Zion, thy God reigneth. All right, so we're talking about a wicked messenger, really here, versus a faithful messenger, all right? A faithful ambassador, a wicked messenger, a faithful ambassador, but basically a faithful messenger here tonight. And this is very, very instructive in our world today. Now, what is a messenger? Well, it's somebody with news, okay? Somebody with news or some kind of report. And, of course, it could be good news or bad news. And we know tonight that a messenger, whether with news, whether it's good news or bad news, has great power. Great power. It's very important. And like all powers, it can be used for evil as well as good. A messenger can be evil or a messenger can be good. That's very important. So two different messengers in this verse, one wicked, one faithful, one unfaithful, one righteous. Now, again, you know that in our day, of course, we don't usually run messages. I guess there's probably some offices somewhere that still have somebody that runs a message somewhere. I can't even imagine that because, you know, of the technology that we have in our world today. But before telephones and email, cell phones, and the internet, messengers played a much more important role. You remember that the story of Absalom dying, and David was not there at the battle, of course. And Joab told a couple of guys, he said, I want y'all to go tell King David. And what did those guys do? Again, King David was a few miles away. How did they get the message to him? They took off running. They each had a message that Absalom had been killed and was supposed to bring that message to King David, and they had to run that message to him. Now, again, everybody just about's got a cell phone. I mean, you can text somebody and it gets there in just a matter of seconds. You can email somebody. You can call somebody if you got news. But, of course, that's not always been the case. We can communicate really with even many people at one time. So you have to go back to Bible days and ancient days before all this technology. And you have to think about messages and how they got to where they're supposed to be. I mean, folks, it could take a long time for a message to get there. Again, we can get a message to somebody in lickety-split. But in those days, it could take a long time. I mean, folks, really, it could take weeks. It could take months, possibly even years. Ever how fast that camel went, I guess, That's how quick it could go. And, of course, you remember the beginning of the mail here in the United States. What did we call that? Does anybody remember? The Pony Express. Somebody rode on a pony and took the mail to people. Well, that would take some time. Now, so a messenger was, hired, or maybe they're already on staff with somebody, and they were supposed to take a message to somebody. They were given some kind of valuable information, whatever it may be. And, of course, information is critical. You think about for businesses. You think about for countries, political institutions, especially like countries at war. I don't know if you've ever been to Fort Jackson. I guess they do this at Fort Pulaski. I've never seen it at Fort Pulaski, but I have seen it at Fort Jackson on President Street over there, on how they would communicate with the forces, because, they didn't have radios. I'm talking about the Civil War and those kind of things. They didn't have radios, and so it was the trumpet or the drums. And they would play the trumpet a certain way or play the drums a certain way, and they would know to, go forward, retreat, that kind of thing, and whatever else. So, listen, interpersonal relationships. I imagine people in older days wanted to know how their son or daughter or mother or father was doing, and didn't live in the same place, and would have to get messages. And so it's very important. So we have this wicked or unfaithful messenger, and we have this faithful or righteous ambassador or messenger here in this verse. Now, again, we don't have quite the same setup that they had back in those days, but I still think there's so many things we can glean from this principle in this verse. So many things. One thing we can glean is this: faithfulness and integrity are a good thing. They're great character traits. Listen, I would think that everybody here tonight, and of course, again, I'm preaching to the choir for the most part, but I would like to say I am a faithful, dependable, reliable person of integrity. I would hope that we would all want to think that about ourselves here tonight, and I hope that is true about all of ourselves. And I only want to associate with like people. That's who I want to associate with. Dependable, reliable, faithful people of integrity. That's who I want to do business with. That's who I want to hang out with. And listen, you know very well that if somebody trusts you for something or depends on you for something, it is your duty, of course, to follow through and fulfill their desires and needs as perfectly as possible. I guess y'all probably have a standing time to go pick up Bill and Janet on Wednesday nights. What's the time usually? And then you go pick them up, and what time are they supposed to be ready? Okay, so then they get the walkers and take off, huh? Now, what would y'all do if Tom, and I mean, you know, Lord forbid, we're not talking about a wreck or something like that, but what would y'all do if Tom said, I'm on the way, and then he didn't show up? Y'all would have to walk to church, I guess, and do that. Yeah, there you go. There you go. And we would wonder what Tom and Betty's up to, right? They're over, and then we look over here, and they're over here at the Wendy's eating while we're having church. Now I'm just telling you. Well, that was after church anyhow. Yeah. The thing is, though, what I'm trying to say, of course, is if somebody depends on you, man, you got to do your job. And of course, for Bill and Janet to get here tonight, now, you know, if Tom don't ever want to do it, you call me, all right? We'll get somebody and make sure we'll do it, all right? But I think he wants to do it every week, and that's fine. But I'm telling you, you know that you can depend on these two people right here. Isn't that a blessing? I mean, it's just a blessing to do that. Yeah. Dana was supposed to pick up one of our widow ladies years ago and forgot all about it, and so that kind of messed that day up. But anyhow. So what I'm saying is, it's good if you're depending on somebody. It is good for them to be faithful and to be people of character and integrity. That's what it's all about. See, faithfulness and integrity are shown here by a messenger or ambassador. And we got a wicked messenger in this thing. And a wicked messenger falls into mischief, it says. Gets waylaid by foolish distractions or maybe even pressure to compromise. And here, a wicked messenger is not dependable, is not faithful, is not a person of integrity. A faithful man or a faithful woman, let me tell you something, they bring great blessing to other people. Bring great blessing. By y'all being faithful to pick them up every service, I mean, it's a blessing to them. It's a blessing to them. I know it's a blessing to y'all too, but it's a blessing to them. Now, of course, Mom now goes and picks up 3 ladies. They got their whole taxi full. I don't even think y'all could get anybody else in there, could you? Unless you stuff them in the back. And my mother is faithful every service and goes and gets those ladies. Of course, these ladies are very faithful to come, and they're ready to go. And I'm very thankful for that. And just when you got somebody that you depend on, don't you like somebody to be faithful? Don't you like somebody to be dependable? That's what it's all about. That's what it's talking about. Now, we have this first messenger here, and he's wicked. And so he is given a message to deliver to somebody else. He's given a message from someone here to deliver to someone over here. But in the meantime, between here and here, some kind of mischief befalls him. Some kind of wickedness arises. And the wickedness arises, let me tell you, because of his character. Because of his character. This proverb, again, is really about a man's character. And even though we don't have messengers that we, send different places or different things in different ways, but yet it's still valid today. The messenger is wicked. He falls into mischief. He's unfaithful. And you know what a lot of people say? Well, it started raining, or I got in a big traffic jam, or I got this, or I got that, and this and that and the other. All sorts of excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. You ever had anybody do that to you? You ever had anybody you depend on or you think's coming to your house to do something, to work on your house, and all of a sudden they don't show up, and they don't call you and tell you they're not showing up? Does that drive you crazy? It aggravates you to no end. They're not dependable. They're in essence a wicked messenger. They're just not faithful. And it's not because of the circumstances. It's because of their character. Their character. And so Solomon is warning us about different kinds of men, about a betrayed trust, a man trusted to deliver a message, and he falls into mischief along the way. Now again, this application could be made to anybody hired to do a job, to perform a service, to deliver goods, to represent a firm, to represent a country, represent a church. Anybody who is trusted with a job to do. That's very important. So when you're appointing a man to a position of trust, character counts. Integrity counts. A lot of people say, nah, as long as he does the job. Oh, no, no, no. Character matters, folks. Character matters because it is going to affect the quality of job. Listen, you want to hire somebody to do something, you better hire somebody who's faithful and dependable and reliable. Because if not, you're in trouble. It will aggravate you to the nth degree. And we're going to talk more about that in just a moment. Faithful men will make sure they're there and they'll do the job. You ever heard the phrase drop the ball? You ever said that about somebody you're dealing with? Well, somebody dropped the ball here. It happens in life. Well, let me tell you something. People have responsibilities to do something. And it's not like we're asking them, to build what's that thing in New York called? Empire State Building, I think. I was trying to say the Eiffel Tower in New York, but that's in Paris. Empire State Building. All right? We're not asking them to do that. We're just, you know what? All we're asking you, buddy or lady, is to just do your job. Do your job. That's all we're asking. Be faithful, be dependable, be reliable. Do your job. Don't worry about everybody else's job. Do your job. And so many people get so worried about so many other things or I think sometimes these people are on their phone, they're on the computer doing something or whatever, and I'm thinking, why can't you get your job done? I'll give you an illustration. And you know this. I've used this before, actually. Probably, as a matter of fact, I've used it a number of times. But you'll remember it was 8 or 10 years ago now. On a Wednesday night service at a black church in Charleston, South Carolina. A young white boy came in to that church. Dylan Ruth was his name. And he had evil intent upon those people. And man, they treated him like, hey, wonderful. We're so glad to have you tonight. Sat through the Bible study and everything. And then he took out a gun and, killed 10 or 12 of them, including the pastor. Brother Pinckney was his name. And do you know that boy was not even supposed to be able to buy a gun? He had went and bought a gun legally, that day or the day before, but his file was on somebody's desk and had been on somebody's desk because he had been arrested for something else a few months before that. The boy's file was on somebody's desk for somebody to look at it and to punch some stuff into a computer to where the gun shop would see that he was not supposed to buy a gun legally. And it was on somebody's desk. And it had been there. I mean, it wasn't like it just got there. It had been there. And so you wonder sometimes, why? Just do your job. Punch it in the computer. Now, he could have probably got a gun some other way, but yet he went into a gun store and bought a gun and should not have been able to do that if somebody else had done their job. And if you think, I'm mad about it, I'm mad about it. You're right. I'm mad about it. Devin Kelly, does that name ring a bell with anybody? Probably doesn't. This was about 8 years ago too, I think. He had got a dishonorable discharge from the Air Force, and that was supposed to be put on his record. And he was not supposed to be able to buy a gun. for some reason involved in all of that. But again, his file sat on somebody's desk, waiting for somebody just to put it in the computer. And so this man bought him a big old rifle. He walks into a Baptist church in Sugar Land, Texas, and kills 22 people or 24 people and injures 22 more on a Sunday morning because somebody's not doing their job. That's a wicked messenger, folks. That's what that is. That's a wicked messenger. That's called dropping the ball. And God's not very impressed with that, of course, and man's not very impressed with that. See, those people that was supposed to put those things in those computers, and listen, I'm sure that happens all the time. People drop the ball all the time. But let me tell you something. That's a wicked messenger. Do your job. Do what you're supposed to do. Because you're going to bring distress and misery and injury to other people, including yourself, really. And calamity. That's what mischief actually means there. He falleth into mischief and bringeth mischief. See, a faithful ambassador is health. A wicked messenger is not health. It's calamity, is what it's talking about. Now, all sorts of trouble. Listen, have you ever heard of the, this has happened with every one of these major carriers, UPS, FedEx, and Prime, where they're supposed to deliver your package, but they take it home with them. I ain't talking about a porch pirate here now. I'm talking about people that's supposed to bring your package to you. That's a wicked messenger, folks. That's what that is. And then, I'll tell you another good example of a wicked messenger, somebody who is a sluggard. And let me tell you something. If you send a sluggard to do a job, his laziness will irritate you. And I've preached on this many times through Proverbs, of course. Remember the verse I preached on? Matter of fact, go back to chapter 10. Go back to chapter 10. Chapter 10. And look at verse 26. This is one of my favorite Proverbs right here. 10:26. As vinegar to the teeth and as smoke to the eyes, so is the sluggard to them that send him. All right? So you hire a messenger to take a message to somebody else, and you just hired a sluggard. Well, it might get there, and it might not get there. It might get there on time, and it might not get there on time. And I ask you this, who wants a messenger who causes irritation rather than helps the situation? You know, when a job is to be done and the wicked messenger doesn't do his job, nobody is happy. Proverbs 25:19 says, confidence in an unfaithful man is like a broken tooth or a foot out of joint. Anybody here ever had a broken tooth? You ever had a foot out of joint? You ever twisted your ankle? Lord forbid, broke it. But you ever twisted your ankle and hobble around? You ever broke your tooth? And I mean, man, that can be painful, and then you can't eat anything. Try biting into a piece of meat with a broken tooth. Try stepping on a foot that's out of joint. Well, don't hire that kind of person. Don't be that kind of person. Don't hire that kind of person. Don't place your trust in that kind of person. So, the wicked messenger is one who does not take his job seriously. I'll say. They might deliver the message, but it probably might not even be accurate. It might not be on time. They would fall into mischief on the way. They would be distracted or diverted by temptations. They would, instead of showing up at your house when they're supposed to, again, they're over at the Wendy's eating or something, when you're supposed to do that. I'm not talking about Tom and Betty. What y'all thinking about? I'm talking about that air conditioner man that was supposed to come to your house. How about this? What What if a messenger was supposed to deliver a private message, but does not keep it private? That's a wicked messenger. It's supposed to be, from this person to this person, and nobody else is supposed to know about it, but by the time this wicked messenger gets done with it, a lot of people know about it. That's wickedness. Maybe, again, this has happened in the United States. Of course, it's happened in other governments too, that a man's supposed to deliver a message for the government, but he works for a foreign government as a spy. That's a wicked messenger. Or how about this? Maybe they're supposed to deliver goods for a company and instead toss them in the dumpster. Or, you've heard this before, right? A mailman who didn't want to deliver the mail throws it in the woods. That happened near my house when I lived up in Stone Mountain, Georgia. It happened near my house. A mailman for days. He didn't want to deliver the mail. I guess he just wanted to hang out for 8 hours or whatever. It's amazing to me. But they found a whole pile of mail out in the woods that he had just started dumping out there. I mean, how terrible is that? Or, I got one maybe even better than that. How about a DoorDash driver that eats the people's food that he went to get at the restaurant to deliver to them? And it's happened, folks. It's happened. Matter of fact, there's some DoorDash drivers, you can watch a video, they're bragging about it. That's a wicked messenger. You hire somebody to go to Wendy's to get you a Frosty, and you, I'm trying to get these people all fired up here. You hire somebody to go get you a sandwich at Chick-fil-A, and you're sitting there, and you paid for that, and you're waiting on it at your house or your office, and next thing you know, it's 45 minutes after the time they're supposed to get here, and you said, what's going on? Wonder if they got in a wreck. Oh, no. We come to find out they ate my food that I paid for. That's called a wicked messenger. So a person is in a position of trust, and instead of carrying out their position of trust, they fall into mischief, and all that does, folks, is create problems. Creates all sorts of controversy, all sorts of trouble. So you better find out who you're dealing with, whether they're reliable or unreliable. But thank God there's a faithful messenger out there as well. And the faithful messenger is the one that is faithful, and he is help to those who send him. Now, a sluggard is like smoking your eyes or vinegar in your teeth. I mean, smoking your eyes, that's not healthy. That's not fun. Vinegar, but a faithful ambassador, a faithful messenger is like a balm of Gilead. I mean, you know very well, we've talked about this too. You try to get customer service on the phone about something. And I'm telling you, you can get some of the worst customer service that you've ever even imagined. Now, can I just be brutally honest with y'all tonight? Can I just make a confession before God and everybody here and everybody on Facebook, everybody in the world apparently? I'm just going to make a confession. There are times when I have actually hollered at the phone, talking to people. Now I'm looking out here at a bunch of pious gas bags, too. And you know very well that when you get a hold of somebody who knows what they're doing and can help you out and gets it fixed, whatever it may be, you are saying, oh, That feels so good. I mean, it's like the balm of Gilead, soothing and healing. You can rest. I had a problem with my Verizon bill for months, and I guarantee you I call about every week, and talk to different people. And I mean, really, it took 6 months or more for me to finally get a hold of somebody that fixed my issue. Becky's dealing with Xfinity now, and they still haven't fixed her issue, and she calls them every month for a year. So there you go. You just can't do it. So when you got somebody that's reliable and trustworthy, and you give them a job, then you can just sit back and relax, right? And that's going to get done. If you're at work, does your boss have to bite his nails wondering whether you're going to get the job done that you've been hired to do? When you're given a responsibility at home, school, office, church, whatever it may be, do you bring health and rest to others? Or are you irresponsible and cause all sorts of irritation? Well, I want to be that faithful ambassador, that dependable, reliable man of integrity. And confidence in knowing a man will finish a job is a blessing, folks. It's a blessing. Solomon wrote this in 25:13, as the cold of snow in the time of harvest, so is a faithful messenger to them that send him, for he refresheth the soul of his master. A faithful messenger. You can look in the Bible and you can see all sorts of unfaithfulness, but then you think of Joseph, you think of Daniel, when given an assignment, I mean, buddy, they did their jobs. And matter of fact, they did it above and beyond the call of duty. Nothing wrong with that either. Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men. Romans 12:11 says, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. I mean, we want to be that dependable, reliable person of integrity, faithful all the time in our life. And of course, 1 Corinthians 4:2 says, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. Every one of us is a steward. You know what you're a steward of? You're a steward of your body. You're a steward of your possessions. You're a steward of your family. You're a steward of everything that God has given you. And God wants a faithful person in that. Somebody has said this, the most important ability is reliability. Now, some people have said availability, but reliability is up there, no doubt about it. You can have all the skill in the world. Matter of fact, a lot of these wicked messengers are really sharp people. They're just lazy and sluggards and sorry in many ways. They're really short. You can have all the skill in the world, all the talent in the world, all the ability in the world, and all the brilliance in the world. But let me tell you something. It is no good if it's not accompanied by faithfulness. What good is it? What good is a skillful surgeon if he decides to play golf the day you need surgery and you're scheduled for surgery? What good is any ability if it cannot be counted upon? I don't care what ability you have. Listen, when Paul told Timothy to pass the message of the gospel on to other men, you know what word he used? Faithful. He didn't say brilliant. He said faithful. That's what he said. Proverbs 26 says this, most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find? So in other words, kind of like that virtuous woman, they're kind of hard to find. And boy, we see that in our world today. Good workers are hard to come by. You know very well, if you go to the same restaurant, once or twice a month, you'll find out that there's a whole different crew in there every other month or whatever. It seems like. You just can't get people to be reliable and faithful. Again, reliable, faithful people are hard to come by. They are such a blessing. Such a blessing to people. Can others count on you? I know I'm preaching to the choir. Can others count on you? Thank God they can. Can the Lord count on you? But I want to talk to you in closing here about the most faithful messenger and ambassador. You know who that is? It's the Lord Jesus Christ. I want you to think about this. Mankind needed to be saved. God had a plan of salvation set up. Mankind needed to hear it. So 2,000 years ago, in the fullness of time, God sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law. Galatians 4:4. Jesus left the glories of heaven and came to this earth and was born as a baby there in Bethlehem to tell the whole world, to be that messenger that God loves you. He wants to redeem you. He wants to save you. That's what he came to do. And then, when he got to the end of his life, he told his Father, he said, I have glorified thee on the earth. I have finished the work which thou gavest me to do. And you talk about a healthy messenger and a healthy ambassador bringing health. He brought eternal health to us. Think about it. And how we're not blessed tonight to think about it. The most faithful ambassador and messenger the world has ever seen. Our Lord Jesus Christ. We're celebrating his birth this month. I'm glad he came. Are y'all glad he came? I'm glad he came. And we're supposed to be like Jesus. So we're to be that faithful ambassador, that faithful messenger, not that wicked one. Not that wicked one that gets waylaid in the mischief and calamity and trouble and brings trouble to everybody else. No, we're supposed to be that faithful, trustworthy, reliable, dependent person of integrity. At all costs, at all, just like our Lord Jesus. Father, I thank you for your word tonight. Thank you for the blessing of it, the reminder. I pray you'll move on us, Lord, to continue to be those kind of messages, faithful, reliable, and thank you for being that for us. In Jesus' name. All right. For those on Facebook, you know what's going on Sunday, so